I talk to myself a lot, like a lot, a disturbing amount. And Jay taught me to speak to myself in positive ways and have really positive dialogue. But lately, I have struggles with my internal dialogue.
And external.
And our external, clearly. And so today I decided to do what I always do when I struggle with something and I have a problem. I go to the expert on me, and that's Jay. So, Jay, I really want to talk about this internal dialogue. I'm having a hard time, right? And so, first of all, before I get into like my thing, can we define exactly what internal dialogue means? Because I think it's more than one thing.
So I kind of feel like everyone knows what internal dialogue is, but maybe not. We might as well explore it. So do you agree that for us to speak any dialogue out loud, we had to have first thought something?
Yes.
Okay. So in between thinking it and speaking it, we have an opportunity to shut our mouths. And so internal dialogue is basically the thought without the expression, without the speaking part.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. Yeah.
Right. So everyone has, 55,000 thoughts a day or something like that, but they only express or speak out a small percentage of them.
Right.
So the percentage that is spoken out loud is our dialogue, and the remaining percent is our
internal dialogue.
Yeah. Inner dialogue, internal dialogue, unspoken thoughts, inner voice, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And if you were to compare the difference between the thoughts you speak out loud and the thoughts remaining unspoken, the internal ones, for most people, there's some kind of noticeable difference.
Yes, there is.
Sure. But the more you align your inner thoughts with the thoughts you speak out loud, the less difference there is, and the more harmonious your whole being is.
True. Yes.
A lot of times people get tired or stressed or have some issues when they spend most of their day speaking some kind of external dialogue that doesn't really match the giant majority of their internal thoughts.
Right.
If I love sexy women, but all day, every day, I go to church and I can't express that or say that or talk about that, and I have to moderate my speech and moderate my language and hold back those expressions, then there's a big mismatch between my outer dialogue and my internal dialogue.
Right.
This usually makes people feel inauthentic, like I'm not being myself.
Yes, it really does. Yes.
I want to be some big playboy or rock star or like have all these women and be in a poly triad or something, but I'm forced by my religion to speak some very prudish things and some conservative things, and I can't celebrate sex or be sex positive, and now I feel inauthentic.
Right.
And I end up with stress and health issues, and I feel drained.
Yes.
So hopefully the clear difference between internal dialogue and external dialogue is defined well enough for our conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you did a great job. So I guess what I meant more was like the kinds of internal dialogue that I have, or I don't know if other people do this or not, but like for me, like it's a running conversation all the time. And as I'm doing things, sometimes the conversation's about like what I'm doing and what I'm focused on, right? And sometimes even when I'm doing whatever it is, I'm criticizing other people or judging other people or like focus on the problem of the situation I'm in instead of any solutions or what I want or what I'm focused on for the future, right?
Sure. But you can do that externally too. You can think about playing the video game that you're playing, or you can play the video game on autopilot and start cussing out your family.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So we can get into different kinds of dialogue, but for now, like for internal dialogue versus external dialogue, it's clear the difference.
Yes.
One is internal, one is external.
Yes, there's clear difference. I got you. Yes. Yeah.
And both of them can have many different kinds of dialogue.
Fair play. So what you mentioned at the end of what you just said was really, the definition of internal dialogue, what you said, that's my problem, right? Is that I feel inauthentic. And so my whole thing is about feeling good and being authentic and being honest. So I have a lot of stuff going on with a lot of people around in the house. And I am wanting to keep peace and not argue. And I'm like, these people that I live with are super triggered, right? And so on the outside, I'm being polite and calm and keeping my opinions to myself. And inside, I am saying the things I really want to say that I won't say. And it feels really fake. It feels bad. And so I need your help.
Sure. Well, I think there's three approaches someone can take in that situation, right? You can express your authentic thoughts and feelings,
Yeah.
even if they're mean and cruel or whatever. You can express something different than your inner thoughts and feelings to keep the peace or not ruffle feathers or whatever it is. Or you can change your inner thoughts and feelings so that they are more appropriate or reasonable or helpful or beneficial to express.
Right. Those are fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Right. And so some people in some situations will choose option one, express authentically, even if it's terrible, bad, mean, cruel things.
Right.
I'm sure you've met people or heard people do this or done it yourself.
Yes.
That's fine, but there are consequences to that choice.
There always are. Yes.
Sure. Some people practically never express their true inner feelings and keep everything civilized and people pleasing and avoid rocking the boat entirely. Again, fine. But there are consequences to constantly repressing yourself and filtering yourself and people pleasing in that way.
Yeah.
And some people just step up to the challenge and change their inner thoughts and feelings, work with them, navigate them, adapt them until they are worthy of expressing or until they are more beneficial to express, and then express them.
Okay.
And there are consequences to that too, but
Yeah.
usually they're pretty desirable consequences.
Okay.
A lot of musicians do this. They feel some strong things, but rather than take it out on the person or express right then and there, and rather than repress it and sit on their feelings and be a people pleaser, instead they go back to the lab, they go back to the studio, they write it out into a poetic form until it's moving and touching and it relates and resonates with many people and it becomes a service, and they work through their pain and they use it as therapy or until they feel good about it or whatever you call it, and then they release their song.
Fair enough.
And a lot of people win. A lot of people make a lot of money. It provides jobs. It uplifts people. It touches people. It helps people. And so it's pretty hard to get mad at Taylor Swift for all her breakups when she made it so that they all helped millions of people.
Yeah, that's true. That's same with Adele. Yeah, you're right.
It's hard to say, hey, you shouldn't have expressed those feelings. It's hard to say, hey, you should have been a people pleaser, or you should have sat on your feelings, or you should have just yelled at the person and forgot the song entirely. Just express right away.
Yeah, if they didn't do that, I wouldn't have some amazing music that I love very much.
Sure. And it's not just musicians. It could just be, a Zen monk who goes and meditates on the situation and then comes back to the conflict later and expresses in a very diplomatic way. Voila.
Yeah.
They have adjusted their expression to something more beneficial before expressing. So there's these three options.
Right.
And it's up to each of us in every moment of life or every situation that comes up to choose one of these ways to handle it.
Okay.
Assuming we're going to engage in some kind of dialogue.
Right. Yeah.
So if you look at yourself and your own situation, you can examine how often you take option A, how often you take option B, how often you take option C, and what are the consequences of those things, and how are they working out for you? And is there one you prefer more than the other? Does one serve you better? Would you like to practice one more? Do you have a default? You can examine yourself in relationship to these options?
True. Well, when I first got here, I did option A and I was honest and I acted like I still lived with you and that I could share my thoughts and my feelings openly. And I got a very harsh, quick, fast, and many reminders that option A is not the best option for where I'm currently living.
Right. So blurting out your expressions, unfiltered and unadjusted, doesn't seem to be paying off.
Nope. It
Cool.
causes lots of drama to be dragged out for a long time.
Fine. So then now you have some knowledge and you know that this is not the best option for your internal dialogue or external dialogue for now.
Yes.
Great.
And option B is kind of why I'm here, because I feel bad. I don't like holding it all back.
Sure.
I don't want to express to you because then I feel like I'm complaining and it feels bad too. But then I feel like I'm hiding. And so I feel like the only way I can express is my internal dialogue. And my internal dialogue is complaining a lot.
Right. So then now you know that option B probably isn't the one that's going to serve you most in this situation either.
No, not at all. It's physically hurting me now.
Sure. So then what's the conclusion?
That I have to then see really is my only other option, is to find a way to express it to help other people.
Yeah. So could you put it into a song or a poem? Could you be a Zen monk and meditate on it and come back to the conflict with more diplomacy? Could you pray on it, turn the other cheek, Jesus style? Like, there's so many ways to implement option C. They take practice and effort and applying yourself.
Well, yeah, like surely there's a way. I mean, I guess even the podcast is a way of doing that, taking the issue and bringing it here and using it as art.
Sure.
To express myself and to help other people with maybe similar issues.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, there's lots of ways. I feel a little triggered. I won't even lie right now. It's been a minute since I felt triggered on the podcast. Not by you, but that's just not being able to express myself for so long. I worked on expressing myself to you, right? We had so many fights that I couldn't tell you who I was and what I needed and what I wanted, how I felt. And I spent so long fighting that and learning how to do it. And now I feel like I have to take all that stuff I learned and put it away. And then on top of it, I can't even talk to myself about it because I'm super negative and I'm just sorry.
All good.
Sorry. Okay. So yeah, you're right. The third option is going to be the best way for me. And there's lots of ways for me to do this, but like I don't know how right in this moment and I feel really bad.
Okay.
And I don't know what else to say.
Well, it just sounds like you need practice with option C.
Yes, I really do.
Yeah, no big deal. Almost everybody does. Most of the planet defaults to option A or B. You either meet people who are blurting shit out regardless of people's feelings and the situation, and they're just being as emotional or hurtful as they want, right? They're just throwing words and ideas around with no care. Or you find the people who are walking on eggshells, tiptoeing on everything, trying to people please and avoid all conflict entirely.
Oh, Jesus.
So how many people are practicing C?
I don't think there's that many. And if you're listening and you are, please tell me in the comments because I really want to know what other people are doing with this, please.
Well, which one do you think
You are C 100% all the way. Yeah. I already know.
Because A and B suck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because A and B suck. And because I've seen you do C. I've seen how I've heard your internal dialogue. Every morning I hear your internal dialogue. We practice together. I don't know, what would you call our practice?
I just call it raising my energy.
Okay, so raising our energy every morning to start our day, and you are so good at it. And so yeah, that's why I'm here. I want to learn from the master because you're the master at this.
Sure, that's great. That's a smart move. One of the best skills you can have in the world is the ability to mold and shape your thoughts and feelings into a form that serves you for expressing them.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, most celebrities you look up to, if you watch their interviews, read their books, will tell you that your inner mind and emotions create your reality.
Right.
So if you have very little practice at molding and shaping your inner thoughts and feelings into a beneficial form, what kind of reality are you going to have?
A troubled reality. It's not going to be the best.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be shit. But the people you look up to have gone through hardship and they've faced challenges. And during those times, they practice shaping their thoughts and feelings into a form that serves them. And so their reality is
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. It's decent. They might not be perfect.
Right.
We look up to them because they have the lives that we want to live.
True.
They've somehow shaped their reality into a desirable shape.
They have. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, but every single one of them will tell you it's all about faith. It's all about belief. It's all about trust. It's all about meditation. It's all about mindset. It's all about emotion. It's all about feeling. It's all about attitude. It's all about some kind of internal thing. It's your internal resources and the way you approach life internally that is going to shape your reality. They all know it. They all talk about it.
So sometimes when I have like a moment, so my daughter had her boyfriend here yesterday and the day before and the day before, and I don't like people in my house. I don't like guests. I don't like strangers. And just because she knows him, to me, he's a stranger, right? So I know that I have to think positive about this person. And so when you're not around and you're at home, because we're not together physically right now, we're not talking, and I'm here faced with the situation, and I start to work on raising my internal dialogue, right? The energy of my internal dialogue. But then I like find myself having a hard time knowing what to say. I know it sounds silly, but I can't find the words.
No, that's okay. It makes total sense. So you have to imagine your internal landscape, mental landscape, like a universe or a galaxy. We'll say a galaxy for now.
Okay.
It's a giant unexplored galaxy. And each star in the galaxy is like an area of thought.
Okay.
Most people find a comfortable spot in their galaxy, a comfortable area of thought, and stay there for decades, maybe a lifetime.
Right.
And so their comfortable area might be judging others. And so they just stay there in the judging others area, and they never explore all the other kinds of thought that are out there. Self-questioning, self-analysis, projecting love, seeing the positives, finding silver linings. There's all kinds of other areas of life and love and thought out in your internal mental galaxy.
Right.
But chances are, if you're like most people, you have not explored those kinds of thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And so just like in life, if you want to build a home somewhere, you have to get very familiar with that territory.
Okay.
So if you're at home in judgment and hating on people and criticizing people, this is a certain area of thought. And you're probably very familiar with that territory. It comes easily. You know the ins and outs. You know exactly what to say, when to say it, how it sounds, what words to use. And so your home is there. If you want to build a home somewhere else, can you just say like, oh, I just want to be positive like Jay?
No.
Right. You have to journey and explore the galaxy and find a better area of thought. And then when you find one, you can't just be like, oh, that felt nice today, and then go back to your judgy ways for the next 2 weeks. You have to visit it again and visit it again and scout out the land and find a good spot to plant a foundation and build a home. And like, what's my favorite thought? What's the thought that feels best? And are you going to remember it? And are you going to come back to it? And then if you do it enough, you can eventually build a home in another part of your internal galaxy. And when your home is different mentally and emotionally, your reality becomes different.
Fair play. Yeah. Okay.
So like any journey, leaving your bed and leaving your house and going out into the world can feel uncomfortable. A lot of people would prefer not to do it.
Right.
but it's not really a good way to live, and it's not going to get you what you want.
True. Very true. Okay. So I just want, I want notes, like things that I can say to myself that are better. But I know you're right. Like, if the more I practice this space that's pretty blank right now, the more I guess the words will come.
And it's not just that. I mean, that's true. But beyond that, my notes and tips are going to be very unhelpful to you because my home is far, far away in the mental galaxy. I live in silver linings land. I live in affirmation land. I live in positive land. I live in loving humanity land. And I'm very familiar with that territory, and it comes easy to me. And so if I go give you my notes, it's kind of like you describing Florida to someone who's never been there. Like, how helpful is that to them?
I mean, you don't understand it until you're here. So
yeah, it's like, why would you describe your neighborhood and the shortcuts and the alleyways and to someone who's in Iceland and who's never been to Florida and doesn't even intend on going there? And even if they do have a trip coming up, you still wouldn't describe it to them until they like got out of Iceland and hit the highway and was approaching Florida or on this certain interstate or something. And then you would start giving them tips. So I'm happy to give you tips. Like, I don't want to avoid it, or I'm not, against
no, I know. And you're really good. Like, privately off camera, you have given me words to help me because we've been together long enough. So you know, like, what's helpful for me and what's in my zone. I guess I just need practice. I guess just need practice of my outside. My outside is nice and polite, even though sometimes my face gives away a lot of my feelings a lot of times. So a lot of what I've been doing for that is so to not let people see my face. Like, if I'm in the room.
But this is option B. Like with option C, you never need this. With option C, you go find a better mental space, a better emotional space, and then you express naturally and you feel authentic, and it serves everyone.
Yeah, and that requires being positive about it. So can we practice so people can see what we mean?
Sure. You want to use questions. If questions to yourself get your intuition going and will help your thoughts step out of your home of judgment and criticism and find a different area.
Okay.
A different thought area in your mental galaxy, right?
Okay. I got you.
So something bad happens and you're tempted to judge it and criticize it. And so what's a good question to get away from that?
How can I see the positive?
There you go. Yeah, that's a really good question.
And what are the positives of this? And
it's another good question.
How can this serve me?
Right. That's another good question. And those questions are kind of like taking the first 2 or 3 steps out the front door. And so you're leaving your home of judgment and criticism, and you're actually venturing out into a different mental space. And if you've never left the basement before or rarely left the basement, the sun might be bright and it might be confusing or uncomfortable. But the more you do these questions in more situations, the more familiar and comfortable they become. And then you can take a 4th step and a 5th step. And soon, if you do it well, you have a whole new mental and emotional home regarding that topic, or maybe everything, if you practice enough.
I think if I practice enough, it'll be for everything. I find I did not do this at all that much when we were living together.
I know.
A couple times when the neighbors came over and they were there too long, maybe, but I find myself in this position that feels really, really, really crappy. So thank you for helping me with this. And questions, I don't think I've asked myself very many questions. I just tried to look at it like so last night there was before we talked, it was, well, hopefully he'll go to bed soon, hopefully like I don't have to look at him, hopefully, like it was a lot of hopefully, right?
Sure, that's an okay strategy too. That can work. I would say questions are a more powerful way to explore mental space, but
No, what I'm getting at, right? And so then after we talked, I said I still didn't really ask questions. Kind of, I was like, well, it's to get up early for his job, so like I know he's gonna be gone when I get out of the bathroom or out of the shower, blah blah blah. Like it was more positive, but I still didn't ask myself any questions. So I'm gonna practice what I could have done last night with you now, if that's okay.
Sure. Your your positive probability is also an okay technique to explore different mental space. You stepped away from judgment and you stepped into positive probability. It's probable he will be gone, etc., etc. So right. That can work. I still feel questions are more powerful for exploring mental space and finding a new mental and emotional home on certain topics. And if you notice, when you were saying, I end up spending a lot of my time taking care of this grandchild, etc., my first thing was like 3 questions. What if your grandchild grows up to be a famous celebrity? What if your grandchild forgets about you because you weren't passionate about spending time and taking care? What if yada, 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 yada? Like,
yeah, it's true. That was the first things you asked me. And it was super helpful for me in regards to even like handling the situation right after. It worked really well. So that's what I was going to say. So the probability thing, I do that. That's how I raise my energy when I'm in a stressful situation or I'm in a situation around people I don't like. I reach for this more than anything.
Sure. But probably this will work out for me isn't that far from I hate this situation.
Yes. Yes.
So like in the mental galaxy, they're nearby. It's good. It's an improvement. And you're stepping out of your judgment zone and stepping into positive affirmations.
Yeah.
But like I'm at home over in this is a human miracle. The universe is blessing us all. I love everything about this situation. It's making me better, them better, him better, the world better. It's helping the economy. And this is literally the greatest pain I could ever experience.
Guys, do you hear the difference?
I'm thrilled about it. But I got to mine through questions.
Yeah. Okay. So can you, all right. So I just want you to I'm going to paint a picture and you are going to, hopefully if it's okay, you will talk yourself out of it or whatever. Okay. You're going to share your internal dialogue.
Sure.
Oh, you and I are alone in someone else's house, right? And my child is there and brings her partner that we don't know very well. And neither of us it's not a preference, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, I can't stand it. I hate my space being taken over. And he always takes up a lot of space and a lot of room. So what would you say in that case when you're uncomfortable too and you want them to leave?
So because I'm really experienced at this and I've already asked my questions and made it to a mental and emotional space that serves me, I would instinctually and naturally and habitually say a whole ton of positive things.
Okay. But what kind of questions would you ask yourself to get there? I know that you're far further advanced.
That's what I'm saying. Like I have to go back to like when I was a beginner and try and think of what questions I would have asked if I was upset and judgy back then.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you.
Because
it's the opposite of what I have to do.
Yeah. Because when you explain this, instantly what came to mind was just a ton of positive, amazing things about the situation.
Right.
So then I can't tell you the questions. Okay. I would start with baby questions, like, well, probably just the baby questions you started with. How is this positive? How can this help me? Mm-hmm. And I would do my best to meditate and sit until the answers came. And then how can I make the best of this situation?
It's a good one.
What value or lessons or takeaways come from this?
Okay. Those are great questions. I never thought of that.
How did I attract this?
Oh, yes.
Were there choices leading up to this?
Choices you made leading up to this.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Were my choices leading up to this?
Yes. I want this clip and save it forever into my brain.
Sure. One of my favorite is, okay, this is unpleasant, but how can I make sure it never happens again?
Oh, good one.
And sometimes the answer that comes is like, well, move or choose your people better or make more money, make a few money, make walk away money. And that's okay. Like, I'm open to whatever answers. The whole point of asking these questions is to get the universe to answer me, get my brain to answer me, get my heart to answer me.
Mm-hmm.
As I get more advanced, then I start to ask more advanced questions like, where is the love in this situation? Or how can I be more loving in this situation?
That's a good one.
Or how can I be of service in this situation? Or
And
do my preferences really matter in this situation?
okay, now, hold up, because now I feel a little attacked, even though you haven't even talked about me or mentioned, kind of in a funny way though, right? Because you're saying all these great questions, and I'm like, I have thought of these questions in other situations, but not in anything recently. And so you're asking amazing questions. This is beyond helpful, not even just for me, but for everyone listening and watching. Because y'all, I know you're not asking yourselves these questions when you're annoyed. So please, do you have more? Please continue. If not, I have another question.
Sure. When I get really advanced, I'll ask, how can I see God in this? How can I see the creator in this? How can I see a higher power in this? How does my soul feel about this? How does my soul see this situation? Right? Because we're all one and we're all God and we're all connected, and our internal landscape is what manifests our external reality, and all the celebrities know that. So how did I create this? And how can I recreate this into a better form? How can I remold this? How can I reshape this? How can I tell a different story? How can I turn this into something sublime?
These are all excellent questions. You are incredible. This is so helpful. And you know what? I can see why now, just with you mentioning these questions, why you can't just hand me your notes, because your answers are going to be different than mine and your questions are going to be different than mine, even though they can still be in the same general area. I'm, like, I would voice them differently, word them differently. My answers are going to be different. So I'm glad you did this, so now I can kind of further even more understand about the whole note thing.
Yeah, and it's because we might both want to end up in a positive mental space and set up home there, but we're both individuals and we're both going to take a different path and a different route to there. And one of us might go directly there super fast, like a pro, and the other one might take the scenic route or have some half steps and step backwards. So this is why me just telling you what to think or what to say or how to do it is very low impact. And it's the same as you describing your Sarasota neighborhood to someone in Iceland.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so those were excellent questions for people to, y'all can write them down or save this clip for yourself, because this is really good. I think it'd be a great clip for X or for Twitter.
But they got to come up with their own questions, though.
Yeah, no, of course. But these are great questions for you to find the right questions for yourself. I mean, even if you start in the beginning asking these exact questions, as you do it, your own kind of thing will form.
Yeah.
So, because that happened to me when we do our morning practice, like I started copying you and then my own thing morphed, and I found my own voice and my own things to express it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Research, inspect, steal, and then create your own.
Risk.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's what we all do. We research, we inspect, we steal and copy and imitate or whatever. And then eventually we create our own.
Yeah. And you can use it with anything.
Yeah.
That's just the side, because it's my favorite thing in the world. So, Okay. So because we like risk and you are like super advanced and we love to learn from the masters, this is why we are here. This is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, is because I'm like step 5 and you're step like 5 million. So I want to learn from the best. So you said you automatically had like your thing in your head when I gave you the scenario. Can you give us a little taste of that internal dialogue about you do it on your own without a filter worrying about like beginners. I want to see the master at work, please.
Okay. So I would just say, this is great. This is fantastic. This is amazing. I created this situation for my own benefit. I created it for my own wisdom and my own love. I created it as a chance to practice and grow. I am seeing myself in the other person's behavior. They are reflecting myself back to me. We're all one. We're all connected. I am seeing a piece of divinity in front of me. So this person who has done something unpleasant or unpreferred is actually a huge blessing. And it's up to me to see the blessing. And it's my honor and responsibility to see the blessing. And if I choose not to see the blessing, I'm going to repeat the situation in a loop, in a pattern, some other time. And that's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's how the world should work. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity, because it's a chance to break this pattern and ensure that this doesn't happen again in my future. But only if I see it clearly and see it correctly and see it with love and bring my whole self to it and bring harmony to the situation. And so from that point, maybe I'll open up a notepad and jot down 10 reasons why this is amazing, or 20 reasons why it's positive, or 10 different takeaways or values I can gain from it. And after doing that, my whole energy has changed, my whole attitude changed, my approach to situations changed, my intuition gives me new ideas, and I'll often come up with some solution that serves everyone or benefits everyone. Or the person who is bothering me will just go bother someone else or do something different. Like they'll adjust their behavior and suddenly go outside the country or go visit a friend's house or something, and they'll be gone from my experience. And it's like 1 second, they were the bane of my existence, causing so much problems. And then I did my mindset adjustment, my internal dialogue adjustment. And then the next second they're gone. And it happens all the time. Recently, I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know like if my landlord was going to kick me out or not, or what was going to happen. And it happened 3 months in a row. And 3 months in a row, I had to take that anxiety and that discomfort and that stress and that uncertainty and that not knowing and do this exact process of why it's good and why it's amazing, why I created it 3 months in a row. And all 3 months in a row, my landlord offered to keep me around or gave me a discount on the rent or like asked for my help or begged me to stay or whatever it is, like a miracle. Like who would, they had people coming to visit the house. They were doing showings and somehow I got to stay all 3 months in a row. And now I'm going to Australia for a couple months. So it's fine. But the timing worked out perfectly. It seems like a miracle. Anyone watching this would be like, that is absurd. Who does that? Why do they do that? What are you talking about? How come there was always like a unique circumstance to keep you around for one more month? It looked like magic, but it made total sense to me, because when I adjust my internal landscape, my internal dialogue, and I live in a different mental and emotional space, reality is going to reflect that. And when you can take the value from something and see the love in something, then the universe doesn't need to deliver it to you again and again in a pattern. It's only serving it up to you to help you grow in love and wisdom, right? It's only serving it up to you for you to get the picture and get your shit together and like grow. Because your deepest intention was to grow. Ever since you were a tiny little single cell, your intention has been to grow. And if you're ever not growing very much in life, life will immediately send you a new pattern or a new thing or a repeated pattern or a repeated thing for you to grow from and practice and navigate. And the people who succeed the most in life are the ones who see the situations as they come, face them, accept them, and realize they are there for growth as a blessing, and then move on. They break that pattern and it never comes back. But the people who struggle the most in life are the ones who fight against and rail against and get mad about and refuse to accept and resist situations that life is serving up, because they're basically resisting growth. And life's like, all right, well, I guess I have to serve it up to you again. And you can see it all the time, pattern after pattern, generational trauma after generational trauma, people repeating the same things over and over, boyfriend after boyfriend, job after job, business after business. And it's like, when are you going to learn? When are you going to see the situation with more love? When are you going to adjust your sight and your perception and your mental home regarding this topic? Because if the answer is never, then it's never going to go away.
True. Very true. Anyone who's ever questioned why I'm obsessed with you, I'm going to just send them that whole, whatever time that was, clip of you, because that was excellent. I liked it so much, I stopped focusing on everything except the screen. So I apologize. I wasn't looking at the camera. I can't help myself. You are amazing. And when you're so helpful like that, I can't help it. That was wonderful. Thank you. Uh, that whole clip seriously was really, really good. That was seeing a glimpse inside your internal dialogue, seeing how you handle things and how awesome you are, and yeah, want to be like you when I grow up. That's why I wanted for people to see it, right? Because we saw what you did in the beginning, like the for beginners, and then your more advanced questions, and then seeing you kind of put it into action. That was really cool. It was really helpful. Yeah. And I think that people don't put enough attention on their internal dialogue. I think we blow this off and we're on autopilot a lot. And so I noticed a lot of times when I'm doing mundane things, making a sandwich, changing a diaper, like cleaning the sink or whatever, like these boring normal tasks. I don't know if I've come out of it and been like, wait, was I positive? Was I negative? Was like my energy feels okay, and I know that like it's more being in the moment and paying attention to what I'm doing now. I know this is helpful, but do you have any tips or tricks for us for this?
It's mostly practice. Like I have the same problem. Sometimes I'll be doing something and I'll notice my neck was tense or my breathing was shallow afterwards. And it's like noticing afterwards isn't ideal.
Right.
But it's better than not noticing. So it's practice. Like even just noticing afterwards is a good start because you'll get annoyed at yourself for always catching it afterwards and you'll start to catch it during.
True.
But only if you're happy that you caught it afterwards. Like if you're like, I hate catching it afterwards. This sucks. Like my attitude is, well, I prefer to catch it during, but this is still good and it's something and I'll take it and I'm going to do better next time. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So even your practice, you have to have a positive attitude about it.
Yes. And so last night I found myself, even after I was alone, right? And everybody was gone and in bed, and found myself still being like snarky. Like I would think about one thing. I think about like you or the things I want, what we're moving towards, because this always makes me happy when I think about that. And then I'd start to I'd see their mess, like they left a mess all over the place, and I'd be like, ugh, and it's not even the words, just the ugh and the eye roll.
Right, but you could have had the attitude of, I'm really looking forward to getting a cleaner place. I'm so glad to see this because it lets me know what I don't want and it lets me know what I do want and it makes it clear what I'm destined for. And I will definitely be having something different than this. And it nudges me to be cleaner when I go over to other people's houses. I will become a better guest. This is blessing me in many ways. This makes me want to be more careful with my appearance and more careful with my space and more careful with my visitations and just a more precise, clean person. And I love that. And I can picture my new house or my new mansion or my new condo or whatever, and I can see it clean and clear. And it has a Roomba and a robot. And I'm so glad I saw this mess. This really inspired me. This really sparked something magical in me. I haven't felt this aligned with harmony and cleanliness and organization in a long time. Man, I am in the zone on this. I'm Marie Kondo up in this place. Like,
yeah.
Y'all better watch out. If I could find the people who left this mess, I would give them a giant hug. I love this. I am grateful for this. This has been a huge blessing. I have a lot of takeaways from this. This is a valuable thing for me. I might write a poem or a song about the beauty of harmony and cleanliness and organization. I might write a funny song that makes fun of dirty people. I don't know, but I am inspired, right? If you have this attitude, like what's stopping you from having this attitude? We're both here. We're both people. We both have a brain. We both saw this situation.
My negativity is the only thing stopping me.
Right. but it's really just your mental home, your judgy home or hypercritical home, right? Like if you haven't explored it and asked questions and gone to different mental spaces in your inner galaxy, if you haven't found different emotions and like step by step your way there and made a new home somewhere through practice and effort, then it's always going to be that way. Like I was a super negative, cynical, bitter, hyper rational, hyper logical kid, and I hurt a lot of people with my cold, hard logic and my like bitter cynicism. But that just made me homeless, right? It didn't create a positive reality. Just like the celebrities we look up to. If they all thought that negative, they're not going to create the awesome dream life they have.
True. That's very, very true.
And if I think that way, I'm not going to create the awesome dream life I want either. So I started behaving more like the celebs and less like teenage me. And I did the mental work, and now I'm in a better place mentally, and it manifests a better reality around me. And there you go.
You're God tier, just so you know.
Well, thank you. We all are. Like, this is something everyone can do. It's not special. All the people you look up to have done it from all walks of life. Nick Vujicic, who I reference all the time, was born with no limbs, and dude was suicidal for like decades. And now he's some positive, super inspiring, inspirational speaker, God-loving, spiritual dude.
Married to a supermodel with children too.
Yeah, married to a supermodel with kids. So it's like, if some little blob on a skateboard can do this, he gets it. He's called himself that. Like
I know, it's just yes, I know. I apologize. Yeah,
like anyone can do it.
Yeah,
all your idols have done this. All your heroes have done this. There was a time when the reality sucked, and they were in a very negative mental space, and they adjusted and adjusted and practiced until they got into a positive mental space. And the reality started changing more and more. And now they're living a great dream life. And you can too, and I can too. And then all it takes is some applied effort and practice and courage to step out of our mental comfort zones and try thinking new things, asking deeper questions.
Well, Jay, you ask deeper questions in our book, Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1. Seriously, you guys, this is the world's first self-help coffee table book. It is full of mostly original illustrations by Jay. He is an incredible artist. He's an amazing teacher, and he's just the best. Someone turned on the shower and is in the shower, and it's really loud in here. I don't know if the mic can pick it up. Immediately, I was like, that's okay. And so I
choose to practice.
Yeah.
Share it with the audience.
Yeah. All right. Well, then you can leave it in. And I immediately stopped and was like, it's the best. And then they turned off the water.
There you go.
It's pretty quick. And I didn't even get to tell you the best part of the book, that we're giving free PDF copies away at eyeswideopenfree.com, and get yours and get on our newsletter and find out all the tea and goss that's happening in our lives. 3 times a week, we put out the amazing newsletter. You're welcome. Well, see, I did it already. I mean, I already started practicing, and I already feel better, and it already changed the things in my life.
Yep.
So it's like instant change.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I know. Okay, so I have another question. I know we are kind of gone over, but I was wondering, why does it feel hard sometimes though? Like sometimes I'm really good at this and I can like really raise my energy with my words, and other times I'm like, this feels so hard. I just hate everybody.
So people often wonder, why is something hard? And it's weird, because the reason anything is hard is either lack of understanding or lack of practice, or both. Why is it hard for a kid to tie their shoes?
Lack of practice.
Or lack of understanding.
Or lack of understanding, or both.
Right. Why is it hard for a kid to swim?
Same. Lack of understanding or lack of practice, or both.
Right. Why is it hard for me to understand astrophysics?
Lack of understanding or practice, or both, really.
Right. But someone who has understanding and practice, like Einstein or Hawking, is it hard?
No.
No, they wake up and they eat, breathe, and sleep it. Like,
right.
It's nothing. They're shocked other people can't understand it and do it.
Fair play. They are.
Yeah. They're like, what? Anyone can learn this. What are you talking about? So the question, why is something hard, always seems a bit silly to me. Like, you all know why it's hard. You either don't understand something or you haven't practiced it enough or both.
Well, I definitely understand it now after today, and I just haven't had enough practice. So,
I'm saying.
all right. So I can't say anything else until I go out there and practice. And I just did a second ago a practice,
And it worked.
and already it worked. So you guys, like, I'm going to crush this.
Yeah. If it was me, I'd be all about the practice. I'd be like, let me practice more than any human on earth. Let me practice until I master this. Let me be the most practiced person. I want to be the Michael Jordan of this shit. Like, if this is how you shape reality and this really works, and this is how all my celeb idols did it, let me practice more than them, better than them, bigger than them. And I'd be like, life, bring me situations that suck. Serve it up. Serve it up. I want to practice and see if I can change this and shape this and add more love to the situation and grow as a person and see what I can do with this, right? Your attitude for something you want to get good at should be like, yo, I want to skip dinner and do more practice.
True.
If your attitude is like, ugh, another crappy situation, I guess I have to practice again. I wish life was easier. It's like, this is not the path to becoming good at it. This is not the path to mastery. This is not how you're going to join the heroes that you look up to, because they were up for practice.
There's another clip. Well, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing with us your internal practice, how you would practice as a beginner, and your questions to help jumpstart our own practice and our own questions and our own improving our own internal dialogue. I feel way more comfortable with this topic. I feel like I understand it more. I feel like now all I have to do is practice, and I have to start building a foundation for my new home of kind, positive internal dialogue. And I just want to be clear. This isn't something I do all the time. I'm not a negative person. It's just in regards to certain people.
Yeah, everyone has their topics that are trickier.
Yeah.
Like I have certain topics that are trickier. And the influencers that you look up to have certain topics where they're not able to be so positive so easily.
True. Like that time that I made Mel Robbins melt down over personal responsibility. I mean, the woman had a complete meltdown. So
sure. Yeah. But how is her attitude towards service or helping the world? How is her attitude towards building a fan base? Like, I'm sure she's fairly positive about those things. And there are other people who are struggling with those topics.
Right. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your insights, your perspectives, your practice, all of it. You are incredible.
You're pretty awesome too.
Thank you. So I have one final question. Mm-hmm. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share about internal dialogue with our amazing and wonderful audience?
Yes. The average person has 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. That's your internal dialogue, your internal landscape. And most people hover around the same thought area for most topics, most of the day. And because of that, they manifest the same humdrum reality and they don't get the major changes they're looking for. Because to get those major changes, you've got to step away from your mental comfort zone, your emotional comfort zone, and chart a course to a new destination. Find a place to lay a foundation and practice until you create a new mental and emotional home on the topics that matter to you. Ideally, one that is full of love and service and positivity and kindness and value and abundance and prosperity in those areas. And when you have that, or the more you have that, the more your reality is going to reflect it. And the people you look up to, if you could measure their internal landscape and their internal dialogue on those topics, you would see exactly what I'm describing to you. They live in a certain place mentally about that topic, and they get a reality to match. And if you examine the people who are struggling with those topics, you'll see exactly what I was describing to you, where they're living in a negative, judgy, critical, cynical, bitter, sad, depressed, hopeless, guilt-ridden, shame-ridden, mental and emotional space about that topic. And they get a reality to match. And I'm telling you, all of us have infinite human potential and power in our 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day to make huge strides and create massive changes where we are mentally and emotionally on any topic. And the reality will manifest to match. It will seem like a miracle, but it will be completely normal, completely reliable quantum physics.
And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you will know how to practice and handle and take care of that internal dialogue to make you happier and healthier in many, many ways. So now you can go to this video here called Why Focus Heals Your Mental Health to help you keep healing and work on your internal dialogue and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.